So ladies, gentlemen of the DC Universe, welcome back to a brand new news roundup video. Today, we're going to go through something initially where James Gunn has been pretty busy filming Superman, so he hasn't been as active responding to people on threads. So he actually went quite ham there, and there's a few things I want to talk about with some answers that he gave that relates to recent news that we've covered on the channel. And then we've got other topics to get into this video, as always, that will be timestamped in the description down below. I want to give a shout out to all the new subscribers on the channel. I have been reminding you guys recently, something I never really used to do a lot, but it does work, in how 48% of you who kept coming back to the channel weren't actually subscribed. You came back each and every video, or most videos, but we've got that number down to 45% now. So more of you are coming on board. Welcome to the channel. Do consider joining that number and getting that number lower if you haven't already. But let's start right at the beginning, something that I'm possibly anticipating, and that is from the Superman and Lois page, that they said, what is a world without Superman? Hashtag Superman and Lois. We get a gorgeous new poster here, and it says tomorrow, which is today. So I'm assuming they're revealing or releasing a promo or the first teaser trailer for the final season of Superman and Lois. So I'm gonna have to enlist the help of future Boba to maybe do a bit of a reaction to that later on in this video.
Superman is dead. Can we please just enjoy the moment?
So it does turn out it was a very small promo for the San Diego Comic-Con trailer that we're getting on July 27th. So it does appear that they're doing the whole Death of Superman thing, especially after, if you've watched last season of Superman and Lois, he went up against their version of Doomsday, and the stakes look very, very high, even though we know that Clark's got to pop back up at some point, even though it kind of breaks my heart seeing Elizabeth Tulloch's Lois crying her eyes out here. But I won't get into this too much here. I'll obviously do a bit of a deeper dive into the actual trailer we get released from San Diego Comic-Con, but I would absolutely love to see your reactions to this little teaser down in the comments for those of you who are looking forward to the fourth and final season of Superman and Lois. But not only that, guys, we also have from Daniel RPK, so take this with a grain of salt, but we have from DC Film News here saying that Joker Folie à Deux trailer is rumored to be released on Tuesday, July 23rd. So just a few days from now, before San Diego Comic-Con. And it's like, wait, what is going on? Why are we getting these trailers? I expected the official Joker trailer at SDCC as well. But it feels just like, I guess, what Marvel did with the Captain America trailer. We can't forget how they released that only several days ago, and they dropped that before the Marvel Comic-Con panels. So I guess we're getting that all the way around. Joker, Superman and Lois, the fact that we have an Iceberg Lounge ice cream truck with drops over it, experience at Comic-Con with a panel for the Penguin, with Matt Reeves there doing a Q&A. We're going to get a trailer there and hopefully some more news, maybe on the Batman too. Please, please, please. Thank you. Thank you very much. Please, thank you. So now let's dive into the Threads coverage thing, of which I still need to do an intro for. But actually, I did have an intro made for me, the Daily Boba, so I guess that could be the new segment for the Thread responses. So this is the interesting thing. You guys know me. I've been wanting him to come online threads and debunk or give clarification to the situation going on with the DCU Arkham series, because no matter what, it just wasn't really clear. They mostly went on about how the Antonio Campos Batverse concept level version of it wasn't happening anymore, but they also detailed the tweets from James Gunn in December about how he said, well, he didn't know of any previous versions of it before it got pitched to him, and he's only ever known it as a DCU Arkham series. But the way the article words it, it kind of makes, people think out there, it just sounds like maybe the whole thing isn't happening, which is strange, and we would like some clarification on that, since James Gunn was pretty open to answer multiple times about it in December. So I was hoping, just to put this out there before I get into the other things we need to discuss, that he would have responded, given that I'm willing to bet, seriously, some kind of money that he would have seen people contact him about it. And during his session of being very active on threads, I was seeing him reply 1 minute ago, 5 minutes ago, 3 minutes ago. I know lots of people have said, James Gunn is busy, filming Superman. And I was like, okay, I get what you're saying, but, it hasn't stopped him from debunking smaller outlets claiming that the Lanterns were being cast during Superman filming, among many other examples, and now he was just very active with a wave of replying to fans, and he still refrained from answering probably, if not, I would say maybe the most asked question to him outside of probably the Booster Gold casting rumor, of which he did answer. So we're still waiting for the Arkham series clarification. Maybe one day we'll learn the truth, but it's not going to be today. But as for the Kumail Nanjiani Booster Gold casting rumor, well, we have him answer it, I suppose, in a roundabout way, but, you know, I'm going to play devil's advocate here. I know some of you might roll your eyes, but I don't think it actually necessarily debunks it, and I'm going to tell you exactly why. So we have this user saying, James, have you cast any actors for projects not greenlit yet? And he says no. So as a result, naturally, some people are like, oh, well, the Kumail Nanjiani rumor is been shot down. And I'm just like, oh, I don't know about that. I don't know about that. But, you know, to expand on this, we have this user saying, is Paradise Lost still in production? And the reason why this relates is because he talks a little bit about casting as well. Also, just kind of giving a bit of an education I think people do need with regards to greenlit versus in production versus like active development. So he says, nothing is in production unless it's been greenlit. Right now, that's Superman, Supergirl, Penguin, Peacemaker, Lanterns, and a handful of animated projects. But Paradise Lost, like many other titles known and unknown, is still in very active development. That's very key to understand because there's something winding me up that we're about to get into, and it's to do with the Batman 2. It will be in production. It will be in production once we have a script or scripts we think are great and ready to shoot. Never before. As an aside, we aren't officially cast on anything that isn't greenlit. So the latter of that, relating to the Kumail Nanjiani Booster Gold casting rumor, is him saying, once again here, we aren't officially cast on projects of things that aren't greenlit. And Booster Gold isn't technically greenlit or in production. It is in active development. So just because it isn't greenlit or not in production, like Paradise Lost or Booster Gold, it doesn't mean it's not happening, people, to those people who are saying that. The same with the Batman 2, because I've got an example here just to go on a little bit of a mini tangent or rant. We've got this user here who I'm just going to blur. I told y'all a few months ago the Batman 2 was cancelled. It's the same thing. Do you really think that the announced projects like, I don't know, Swamp Thing or Brave and the Bold, that he didn't mention here among the list of Superman, Supergirl, Penguin, Peacemaker, Lanterns aren't happening? Of course they are. Like, I mean, hopefully if we get to that part of the DCU. The same with the Batman, or the same with Booster Gold. It doesn't mean the Batman 2 is cancelled, or I told you he's destroying the Batverse. It's as he makes a distinction here, those projects are in active development. People are working on scripts, such as Booster Gold scripts, such as Matt Reeves working on the Batman Part 2 script. But once that is kind of at a point of where he says, once we have a script or we think scripts are great and ready to shoot, never before, that's when, you know, you go full swing into production. It's really not that complicated to understand, but you get a wave of people being like, oh, you know, sabotaging the Batman 2. Oh, it's never been greenlit. It's like, you don't actually understand what you're talking about with the stages of development then. Like, it's that simple. Sorry, I had to get a comment in there about the Batman 2 because, you know, I'm just seeing it after James Gunn makes a post like this. But as I said, without repeating myself too much more, practically every other DCU title he's announced, other than the ones he's listed right here, like you're seeing on screen, are in the same situation. And we all know that James Gunn announced those as DCU projects that he wants to do and will do in the future, but there is an active development stage. Waller is in active development, so therefore it technically hasn't been greenlit to production or even pre-production. So how does this relate back to the Kumail Nanjiani thing with how he said we aren't officially cast on anything that isn't greenlit? Well, I pose to you, that doesn't mean that Kumail Nanjiani, the rumor of him being Booster Gold, isn't true. It just would mean that he's not officially cast just right now. Now, you may be like, okay, Boba, you're reaching there. Well, I mean, maybe I am. Maybe it's not Kumail Nanjiani. But the point is, this technically doesn't debunk the rumor of how he has been cast. And an interesting little nugget of information here. Back in the press days of when DCU Chapter 1, Gods and Monsters, was first revealed, they spoke a little bit about Booster Gold and also an actor that they've been talking to. So we have Safran saying here, you know, it's total fan favorite. As you know, a loser from the future who uses his basic future technology to come back to today to pretend to be a superhero. Gunn says, I think of it as basically the story of a superhero's imposter syndrome. How do you deal with that? It's about how he tries to use his future technology to be loved by the people of today and what is really at the base of that. It's a character story that's going to be a very different type of show, and we're talking to an actor about it now. Now, let me hold my horses for a second there. Yes, it doesn't mean that the actor that they were talking to about it now, way over a year ago, is guaranteed to be Booster Gold, but let's just go along with me here. Hypothetically, let's just assume, for the sake of argument here, Gunn, as we know for a fact, was talking to an actor literally about playing Booster Gold way back then when they were first talking about DCU Chapter 1. It's a project they knew they were doing. It's not in production or anything like that. It will be greenlit eventually, blah, 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 but they had an actor in mind. You can liken this to examples that I use all the time, just like how technically Millie Alcock wasn't officially cast for a long time until Supergirl was actually casting and she was up against, Meg Donnelly, and the trades were reporting about that, but eventually she was officially cast. But James Gunn had Millie Alcock in his mind as of when he literally saw bloody House of the Dragon. Similar thing with Matt Reeves writing The Batman with Robert Pattinson in mind. He also wrote the role of the Riddler with Paul Dano in mind. Robert Pattinson even had a meeting with the producer Dylan Clark way before casting, but he wasn't officially cast. So I think I've drilled this in enough in how I wouldn't shoot down the Kumail Nanjiani rumors at all. I think it could be quite likely, if the rumor is true. We still need to take it with a grain of salt because it is a rumor. This other actor that they were talking to about it ages ago, as Gunn says himself, could have been a different actor. But all I'm trying to say is, an actor can basically have the role between handshakes without signing the dotted line. It was also a similar situation, by the way, with why James Gunn himself couldn't officially announce John Murphy as the composer of Superman, even though he was writing the score for the movie for ages before he was officially announced, even before he got the bag and signed the deal. It's only then he's officially hired as the composer, even though he was kind of working on it before. And it's the same thing with Kumail Nanjiani here. He may very well know that he's basically set to play Booster Gold, but no, nothing is officially casted or casting right now, and won't be probably for quite a while. So no, he hasn't cast any actors for projects not greenlit just yet, but he may very bloody well know who he wants for those roles. Also, this segues me into the next topic with regards to casting, and that is for Lanterns. So James Gunn he doesn't say an exact same thing here, but I guess you could kind of take it in the same vein. So this user says, "Hi James Gunn, do you already have an actor in mind for Hal and John?" And Gunn says, "I've discussed with Chris and Tom and Damon, if you didn't know already, the team behind Lanterns, and they have a lot of great ideas." Now, this isn't really actually the same thing or as much of a sure thing as what I was going on about with Kumail Nanjiani, or how Gunn said they've already been talking to an actor about it. This is more of the vein of how there's been no official casting, but they've got great ideas of who they want for Hal Jordan and Jon Stewart. And again, just like how Robert Pattinson had very, incredibly early preliminary meetings about Batman and poking around that situation at the time, maybe they've had extremely early preliminary talks of who they would want to maybe have a little conversation to behind closed doors. Nothing in any official capacity. I can't guarantee that, but it would be pretty interesting if they have, in a similar way to how Gunn was talking to who could be playing Booster Gold quite a long time ago now, if they've already been in a similar situation. But maybe it is just great ideas that they've got. And who could that be? I don't know, but I'm so excited for Lanterns. I'm so excited that we got that teaser when they basically announced what was already leaked, the team and the writers and the showrunner behind Lanterns, and they even gave a little bit of a synopsis with regards to how Hal Jordan and Jon Stewart are investigating a murder in the American heartland. We got, teasers for what was already leaked with regards to the wording, saying the series follows a new recruit, Jon Stewart, so he's the new, younger, as what we heard in the leaks, and the Lantern legend, Hal Jordan. So in a DCU that's already had heroes exist and existing for a long time, he's already a Lantern legend. So he's probably similar or mirroring Batman in terms of experience of obviously how if Damian Wayne's coming into the Batcave in the movie, The Brave and the Bold, then, Bruce has been active as Batman for 10 years. So you get what I'm saying. Very, very excited about all of that. Even Gunn's thread post relates to what I was saying earlier about the difference between active development development and green lighting it for production once things are ready, how you can relate that to the Batman 2 instead of, fear-mongering it all to those saying like it's cancelled or whatever. Excited to announce the official green light for DC Studios' Lanterns as an HBO original release. So basically, Gunn announced that they were doing Lanterns way long ago. Obviously, it was in active development. They were getting all their pieces of the puzzle together, writing scripts, and now it's officially greenlit. And it's the same thing with Matt Reeves, he's in the stage before this with the Batman Part 2. Now, up next on the Daily Boba's thread coverage of James Gunn, we have this user saying, hey, James, are you wrapped with filming or just in Cleveland? If no to wrap, how much more have you got left? This is quite an impressive shoot, considering I heard a lot of movies film between 1 to 2 months. And Gunn says, we are not done shooting, still a couple of weeks left, just done shooting in Cleveland. And yeah, it's a long shoot, but we're getting close. So, as we know, Superman was slated to wrap filming towards the end of July, and it looks like that is lining up right now. They're filming in what is probably likely to be the Hall of Justice, which is really, really cool. So not too long until this is all over and they really get to the post-production phase of things, even though they've been editing along the way. And along this line of thinking and us talking about San Diego Comic-Con, obviously right before we're about to head into it, we have Gunn respond to this user saying, have enough footage for a teaser during San Diego Comic-Con? And Gunn says, definitely no teaser at SDCC, still shooting. Now, I mean, I could argue, since Gunn has said that he has been heavily editing along the way, that, if they wanted to, and I don't remotely blame him for not wanting to, by the way, but they have, so much footage shot at this point, they could, color grade a scene easily of just Superman walking and panning up from the boots with the red cape flapping in the wind. Or, basically the Matt Reeves Batman camera test. If he wanted to put something out like that, he could, but obviously that's not his prerogative. He doesn't want to do that. So as Gunn said before, we won't be getting anything this year. It was a while ago he said that, but he said no teaser or anything like that for 2024. So don't really expect anything like that. If something like that does magically happen by the end of December, I guess he would have changed his mind, but this is kind of something we already knew. Up next in another thread response, this user says, do you have ideas for the next DCU film you're going to write? And Gunn says, but it's just a distant corner of my brain as I'm focused on what we're shooting. Of course, absolutely. He's probably got all kinds of things swimming around his brain because he's the co-CEO of DC Studios, having mapped out the entire 8 to 10 year plan for the most part. Obviously, things are subject to change, but obviously he has and would have mapped out something in his brain that he might tackle another project at some point in time. Sure, right now it's okay, I'm doing Peacemaker Season 2. He wrote all of that. He's directing a few episodes of that. That's filming right now, and he's filming Superman. He wrote that as well. But what is the other project he thought of at the time, being okay, I think I'm going to, since that's a few years away, I don't have to worry about that, but I think I'm going to tackle that. So obviously it could be another Superman thing eventually, but some people are guessing, could this be The Authority? Could it maybe be something else entirely different? Something maybe that hasn't even been announced right now. One thing I always used to bring up quite a lot is that we can't forget how in the DCU Chapter 1 Gods and Monsters video, those projects, all 10 of those projects, Gunn quite literally said for a fact that those were less than half of what's yet to be announced for Chapter 1. Now, sure, we've heard other things since then, such as Peacemaker Season 2, a rumored DCU Titans movie, which we've had no confirmation or denial on, and obviously, whatever the heck is going on with the Arkham series, we don't know what's really going on with that. There's a Blue Beetle animated series, so we've now got 4 more, so 14, give or take, given the status and rumors of surrounding some of them. But there's still more, quite literally. He said less than half, being 10, so that's more close to 20, if you think about it. So maybe it's one of the current projects that we have announced or semi-leaked, if you will, or maybe it's something else that we actually have no flipping idea about right now. But let me know any theories or any projects actually that you would like to see James Gunn tackle himself, writing and possibly even directing again. And then we have this user saying, how is Peacemaker Season 2 coming along? Will it pick up where the first season left off, or will it be very different to signify that the first season isn't canon? And Gunn reveals that it essentially picks up where Season 1 left off, with a couple of minor differences. Now, without repeating myself so much from what I've said in the past, this is just really no surprise. We kind of already knew this. It's what I've always said with, as far as I am aware, after having seen Peacemaker like 3 times, or maybe I've rewatched it 4 times because I've seen it with like my fiance. Obviously, that was myself reviewing it, then with my friends. I've seen it a lot. There's not really anything in that show that would contradict the canon of the DCU if they wanted to keep a lot of the strands or story elements from season 1 contained in the DCU's canon. So, for example, we know that Peacemaker killing Rick Flag, even before Peacemaker season 1 in the Suicide Squad, is a strand of canon that is being maintained. I think the Butterfly Invasion can be a strand of canon that is maintained. But obviously, the very ending of Peacemaker season 1, with the Justice League appearing from the DCEU a little bit late, that is something that would contradict it, and they can't do that. Even though if you want to argue that the Justice League could be canonical in the DCU, that's something we actually still don't know right now. That's something that they can easily get rid of, and Gunn said that they're going to address the DCEU to DCU universe, multiversal, or whatever the heck change. They're somehow addressing it in the show. So all I'm saying is the fact that Gunn says that essentially picks up where season 1 left off, a lot of the events from season 1 can be canon, although I do fully expect some changes, like maybe this happened a little bit different, or maybe that happened a little bit different. But it's the same vein of how, Batman's parents died in the DCEU and he became Batman. That strand of canon is obviously maintained in the DCU. It's the same thing if Superman landed to Martin Parr Kent's farm in the DCEU. That still happened with David Corenswet's Superman in the DCU. So it's going to be interesting to see what season 1 canonical strands maintain. I believe it's going to be a lot of them, but I do expect some changes, even beyond obviously scrapping the Justice League scene at the very end. Now, another user says, will Peacemaker release before or after Superman? And he says after. It follows the events of Superman. This is something we already knew, but yeah, it's important to know that when we see Peacemaker season 2, it is set canonically and chronologically after the very ending scene of Superman. It's that simple. And before people bring it up, I am aware of images going around, set photos online of Peacemaker Season 2 that reveal a couple of cool details. Nothing like too crazy, like too massively spoilery. However, I wanted to talk about that in today's video, but I can't, because guess what? There has been copyright takedown notices on Twitter. So basically, if you posted that image on Twitter, or if you've seen other people doing that, they're now being taken down, like one at a time. I've seen a few accounts have theirs taken down. And if you haven't had yours taken down, well, just kind of watch out, because maybe you'll get a DMCA takedown at some point in your email inbox, and that's obviously not great to have. And obviously, I don't want to show an image or talk about an image of which Warner Brothers are pretty intent on nipping in the bud while they can. I mean, they're doing it like a couple of days later, but maybe it's just gaining more and more traction. Now, why is this happening? I'm honestly not sure, because I don't think it gives away massive spoilers, but the only theory that I have is that perhaps, even though these were set photos taken by someone, perhaps it was taken on the part of a set in where maybe they shouldn't have been. So it's maybe a little bit different from, I don't know, Cleveland.com taking pictures of Superman in a very public area from like an apartment building or something like that. That's like fine. But if you're actually on a set in a closed set area and you take a picture, maybe that's what happened here. And they're like, that's a no-go. I honestly don't know, but either way, just thought I'd let you know that I am aware of it. But the fact that Warner Brothers are trying to take that particular image down, yeah, I want to comply and not piss anyone off. We have this user here saying, is Creature Commandos set before or after Superman? I forgot. And Gunn said before. Again, another thing we know, but I find this interesting because he says all of these initial projects are happening in the order they're released. So all of those initial projects, from Creature Commandos to Peacemaker to Lanterns, are happening in the order they're released. But it's interesting because, these initial projects are happening in the order they're released. So later down the line, I've got my fingers crossed. I've said it so many times, but I'm going to say it again. Obviously, we've got Paradise Lost, which is a project that will be set thousands of years into the past. It's before Princess Diana's birth, Wonder Woman's birth. We know that, just in case you didn't know that. But I'm hoping for other projects that isn't an initial project. Perhaps some, I don't know, whether it's 5-6 years from now, Gunn will say something like, okay, so we're 5 years into the DCU. You've seen Superman, you've seen Supergirl, you've seen Lanterns, and I hope you enjoyed it. But now, I'm going to announce a project that takes us back to the golden age of heroes. I've already said that heroes exist and have existed for a long time in the DCU. You've seen how the the world has got to a point of having metahumans and heroes and vigilantes and anti-heroes everywhere in all of these projects we've released so far and that you've enjoyed in the cinema and on Max. But now, how about we go back to the past of when there were the JSA in World War II and do a bit of like a period piece of that time? That would be amazing. You know, they could even lock into how these heroes are the ones that inspired Clark Kent to be an individual hero in the setting of Superman, in where you've got other heroes out there like corporately funded Lord Tech heroes like Hawkgirl and Guy Gardner. I have a whole vision for that, and I hope, in addition to Paradise Lost, we don't only get that being the only project that goes back into the past of the DCU. If heroes have existed and have existed for a long time, there's opportunity to explore there. Now, up next from DC Film News here, they post Supergirl Woman of Tomorrow shirts will be sold at San Diego Comic-Con. So we already knew that there's going to be actual DC merch at SDCC. I showed that in my other video. Maybe you're seeing on screen right now, but we didn't see this. Now, some people are looking into this being like, okay, so is this emblem that we're seeing as merch being sold at San Diego Comic-Con for Supergirl Woman of Tomorrow? Is that going to be the emblem that Millie Alcock's Kara has in the canon of her Supergirl movie on her suit? I don't know about that. Maybe you could argue that the crest will be different, but when I first got asked this question, I was like, well, if Superman is wearing the Kingdom Come crest on his suit in this movie, I would say that that is reflective of what the House of El symbol is in this universe. It's not so much of a stylistic choice that he made to put on his suit. It is, you know, him respecting the emblem and the logo, the crest for his house on Krypton, and he has put that onto this suit. If he's made it himself, or if his mother's made it, or if it's actually Kryptonian tech facilitated or something like that. So what I said before is that, would Kara not do the same out of respect to the house? Would you really change up your own house crest? I don't know if you would. Really, you'd mirror it. Now, maybe it might be a bit smaller, rather than how large David Corenswet's one is, or something like that, as opposed to her actually changing it into something like this, more of a traditional S. But I could be wrong. Maybe even if David Corenswet's Kingdom Come version of it is actually what it was like on Krypton, you could argue that, I don't know, Kara might be like, I want to maybe change it up a little bit. I don't know. Plus, this could be maybe more of a logo that's reflective, and the merch might be more reflective of the Supergirl Woman of Tomorrow comic rather than the movie, even though the S here is a little bit different from the comic S, which is probably what is making people think, wait, is this for the movie? I would say hold your horses there. I mean, I totally get your point, because it quite literally is a different S. It really is. So, but I don't think they would give away the crest for Millie Alcock's version right now. And if anything, as I said, I default back to my original thing. Maybe she would have like a variation of the Kingdom Come version on her Supergirl Woman of Tomorrow movie suit. I don't know, but let me know any and all thoughts you have there. A couple of other little tidbits that we do have for this video is that James Gunn confirms that William Hoy is the editor for Superman. Now, his previous credits include The Batman, War for the Planet of the Apes, and Watchmen. So, I mean, I know he's not directing, he's not like this, that, or the other, but he's editing it, and editing is an important job. It really is. Like, imagine being given the responsibility. Granted, you're working in collaboration with Gunn, and he might be like, hey, can you edit this maybe a bit different or do that? But still, this man's history of editing on movies is great. So I'm very happy that he's going to be the one handling this for the Superman movie. Again, there's a lot of moving pieces to what makes a movie look good, be good in every way, but at least we know that the editor is a solid ass choice. That is all the discussion for today's DC News Roundup video. Maybe I've chucked in the Superman trailer here. If I haven't, by the way, it's probably because I'm going to maybe do a separate video, a separate reaction / breakdown. So just know that if it's not here, I'll be doing it in another upload, if not today, tomorrow. But let me know any and all thoughts down in the comments below for everything we rambled about today. If you enjoyed this video, help me out by leaving a like. If you're enjoying the videos and you're one of those that come back each week to watch my content, maybe consider subscribing. Get the number down from 45%. We already got it down from 48, so let's see if we can get it below 40. That would be pretty nuts. But I'm gonna love you and leave you. So again, thank you so much for watching. I hope you guys have a lovely rest of your day, and I'll see you people of the DC Universe in the next video. Goodbye.